and we throw this word a lot and around a lot, and you're in a great space. I'm glad you kind of led us there, because when you mention things like Quavo, when you mention names like 21 Savage, they bring us right to hip hop, right to the forefront of that, right? So when I say things to you like for the culture, because that's a word we throw around heavy in the hip hop space. That's a word we throw around when we talk about anything that's supposed to mean something, from what I understood when it first started being said, right? What does it mean to a marketer like you? Because you're very much into driving the culture with these brands, with who you attach them to. So when I say the words for the culture, what does that mean to someone like you that's sitting behind a desk looking at things like numbers, who's moving what, that sort of thing?
I'm totally different from my peers, to be honest with you. Like, because I'm more of a person that's in the culture, that's
Boom.
sitting behind the desk, versus a person that's behind the desk that's working with the culture, that's hiring other people that are in the culture. So I'm like a person that's in the culture, a culture creator, culture anthropologist, and marketer, corporate marketer. So it's a little bit different. For me, I always put myself in the shoes of a culture creator, a culture advocate, or whoever that I'm working with. So for me, when I hear the term for the culture, to me, it's about opening doors for other people. So it's something that's more than a singular term. It's something that's more than just me. I'm doing this for the culture to get my bread, to get my bag or whatever. Everything I do when I use the term for the culture is to make sure that a pathway is clear for a lot of people, truly for the culture. Like
Right.
opportunities are expanded beyond that one particular person. So that's the way I see it. And then when I work with people, I try to work with people that kind of have that same shared mindset, that's thinking beyond themselves, and they're doing something that's going to propel the culture forward. So if it's like, I'm thinking more ecosystem, like total ecosystem versus,
Yeah.
what I'm saying, one particular lane or one particular person.
Right. I think what we found in 2022, and we ran into this a lot, and along with, of course, the racism, the death of George Floyd, and all the stuff that wound up happening, right, was that in a lot of these companies, the culture and diversity thing, there was a big imbalance. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like they had a lot of people who, and I talk to Brittany about this all the time. Like I'm very much past the point of somebody who don't walk outside and live this culture telling
Mm-hmm.
me how to live this culture. I ain't gonna
Mm-hmm.
say I can't learn from you to read the data. I ain't gonna say ain't something I can't learn from you in a meeting. But if you never step outside and actually live this culture, then it's hard for me to take a lot of what you say seriously, because you just sitting back looking to make a dollar off of it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, do you think that companies, after, you know what I'm saying, like we've had this, of course, this the untimely passing of George Floyd, we had all these things going in these companies, and everybody suddenly was like, we got to understand better, things have been done wrong. So all of a sudden there were these culture and diversity officers. Do you think that a lot of companies are starting to get it right, or do you think, and we've had other guests on this show talk about this before too, that it was a lot of like, yeah, we're working on it. But are they really working on it from what you see, and being a marketing guy and being a person that's had to be in these spaces on a corporate thing? Do you really think they're working on it, or was a lot of it just like for the time being, because it was a hot button,
Mm-hmm.
everybody was working on it?
I think there are different levels. I think there are some companies that have already kind of been in the conversation. They may not be perfect, like a Nike, companies like that have already, they were on it with Kaepernick. They were on it before George Floyd. But the masses of companies, is symbolism. It's more semantics. It's more, cosmetic. Just putting a band-aid on it, not really like trying to solve the problem. Because they know, if you look at, like, especially African American culture, if you look at it, we're kind of we bought into a lot of symbolism. Let's get a black president. Let's put this face in there. Let's do this, and we think that things change because it's like surface, it's like very like cosmetic. So putting a DEI officer, a DNI officer in place is like, we'll just give them this. They'll shut up. And the most of the time when they put these people in office, in the position, they don't have power. They don't have a budget. They don't have any type of direct reports, no department or anything. They're expected to be like this black superhero or Latinx superhero or whatever. And they're not able to make any type of transformative change. So the biggest thing for me is like what I was trying to do along with a few other people at Pernod Ricard was, you have to change the DNA of the company. It has to be more than just bringing in
Yeah.
one person. You got to train the whole company. You got to do corporate like culture marketing training 101. You got to get the advisory board in place so that it's more than just like internal people. It's like an external body of people that are actually integrated into the marketing planning. You have to, make sure that you're recruiting new people into the company at all levels, like middle management, lower management, senior management, everything. You have to be represented across the board. The agencies they work with have to be like people of color that they work with, because a lot of times what people don't understand, I didn't know this this is more so for the kids that's watching this. I don't say kid, like the young adults or whatever that's watching this. Like, I think that when you go to marketing, you think you're gonna be doing a lot of sexy stuff. Like, you're gonna get into office, you're gonna be doing a lot of sexy things, creating.
Man, we seen Boomerang. We know how Marcus was living.
Yeah, that's why I got into marketing. That's why I got into marketing. But the biggest thing is, like, a lot of times as a brand manager or marketer in the corporate and the owner of the brand, when you work for the owner of the brand, you usually outsourcing the creative to an agency. So you present the agency with the problem. I want to grow this much. I want to reach this amount of people by the end of this year or whatever. You give them the problem and they come back to you with a creative solution and they activate it. So the agency is the one that's like the creative think tank behind these ideas. And if your agency that you're hiring is not reflecting the culture, then your marketing message is going to die. Like, you're not going to connect with the culture. So that's why, like, you have to like diversify across the entire ecosystem, not even just with the company, the agencies, and depending on what industry you're in. Like, let's take alcohol beverage, the distributors that are going out selling the product into the stores and the nightclubs and stuff like that. They need to be people of color or diverse, because how can they speak on a brand to the culture if they don't even know what they're talking about? Right. And then if you're in other industries, the retailers need to be diverse. So, like, it's just the whole ecosystem needs to be diverse. So it doesn't just start with just that D&I officer. That's not going to change anything. And that's the miss from a lot of companies.
Yo, you right there. Are you loving the DJ Ekin podcast? Well, do me a big favor. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to get all the alerts when the new episodes drop, all right? The DJ Ekin podcast. Yes, hit the subscribe button, like now.